Good morning on July 22nd, 2024. It's just a little bit over midnight. And I'm recording this. I'm actually going to post it to my backup channel, Alternative Homesteading 2. And then I'll have to send it to this channel in 7 days. Why? Because somebody either reported one of my videos that I posted months ago, or YouTube just decided to remove it and give me a strike. Even though I appealed it, I have to wait, I think, 48 hours to hear back from them. And my appeal was as follows. I copied that video from another YouTube creator, and if there was a portion of the video that YouTube didn't like, then tell me to remove it. The video is long, and I can certainly edit a portion out. It's mostly music. Most of it is, it's from Zacho's Breedlove Ewing. He is no longer with us, and he created a lot of videos. And the one that I mirrored was one like for tinnitus. So, in the beginning, he has some of his own music, and and some words on the screen, about this targeting and stuff. But then he goes into some binaural beats, and that's why I copy it. I copy it for the sound, so that people can listen to it. And it was uploaded months ago. And I'm going to read it to you here, guys. So let me see. Oh, you know what? I sent it to my YouTube folder here. So here it is. YouTube removed your content. Hi, Alternative Homesteading. It looks like Zacho's Typo Blood and the Quick Grow CANCER Med Cult Lie, see description, didn't follow community guidelines. To help keep our community safe, we removed it from YouTube. Review and take action. So I responded to YouTube that, here it goes. Let me see. Dear YouTube, the video is already posted on YouTube by the original owner. I mirrored the content to my channel. There are binaural beats after the introduction to help people who have ringing in their ears, known as tinnitus. I can certainly edit out any portion of the video that YouTube deems as a violation, yet I do not see one. The music in the video was created by the original owner. The YouTube creator is known as Zacho's Breedlove Ewing. I believe he has 2 channels or more. The video was copied from his channel months ago. The last time I looked, the original is still there. I also remember that others shared this video, so it is on YouTube elsewhere. Again, please tell me the portion that violates the guideline, and I can edit it out. Thank you. So that was my appeal. So anyway, a subscriber mentioned a YouTube creator called Cult to Consciousness. Now, I know this channel. I've watched some of the videos before, but thank you for the reminder. I mean, I don't have time to watch everybody's videos, but I did watch this one today. It was called the Military Cult, C-U-L-T. Is the military a cult? That's what it was. So I listened to it, and the woman who was speaking is actually in the military. She's a female, obviously, and she's got husbands. And she went on and on about how the guys there, the military, is misogynist and hates women. Those are her exact words. The military is misogynist and hates women. This hatred emanates down towards innocent people. And she also says, quote, the military's job is to conduct violence for the state. These are her exact words. The military is misogynist and hates women. The military's job is to conduct violence for the state. And then there was an ex-military guy there who was talking about how the military treats women in the military, and that there are a lot of sex crimes against them, and that the uniforms that are provided to them never fit properly because they're not designed for a woman's body. They're designed for a male's body. But anyway, basically she says that they hate women. Now, given what we know about the targeted community and how women are treated and how there are 70% or more on the list, and that many of our perpetrators work for fusion centers, work for or are from InfraGard, and many of them are military reservists or former military. And she says, or I don't remember, it was her or him that says, oh no, it was a comment in the comment section that the Marines are the worst. That's he's a Marine, and he said that the Marines are the worst. So I believe that a lot of the crimes that are being perpetrated against women on the list, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen to the men too, but the fact that so many women are loaded onto the list, it's because of this hatred for women. The military is misogynist and hates women. And the military's job is to conduct violence for the state. These are quotes. These are quotes from the video that I watched today. The video channel is Cult to Consciousness. And this one was specifically asking the question, is the military a cult? Well, evidently from listening to the video, the military is a cult. And part of what a cult is that everybody's trained to do the same thing. And that's why it's a cult. So anyway. So now I'm not able to post for 7 days on the channel. I will probably post this video to my alternate channel just so that you know. So my alternate channel is Alternative Homesteading 2. And then there's Targeted Pets. So because I, upload so much to this channel, I don't always have time to upload to both channels. So now that I won't be able to post to this channel for 7 days, I'll be uploading all of my videos to the Alternative Homesteading 2. And then I'll have to repost them here. And I'll probably also post them to TikTok. So you can find them there. So anyway, I was going to share a testimony in this video, but I'm going to make that separate. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read some comments that were left by a subscriber, and this is Matson Miles, and he posted this under the video of David interviewing me, and that was a few days ago. So now, in my video, towards the end, my refrigerator was making all these popping sounds. Like, they were really loud, but it didn't pick up on the actual video. So, he responds to the video. He says, I didn't notice sounds from the fridge in the video, but I have zero doubt, and he wrote in bold print, zero doubt about any claims a person makes of high strangeness being made by a rational, logical individual who has been going through this treatment long enough to be past the frantic wonderment. As for me, myself, being a logical, analytical sort, I have done a thing I never imagined myself to do when it comes to all these unbelievable things that happened around me. I have suspended all previous and future disbelief indefinitely. Anything at all is possible. I now am and forever after surprisingly willing to consider the most fantastic things are likely. I would like to point you to some of the things that I have shared on Dr. DeFacto's channel about my life, our lives, and some more of the story for testimony of what my wife and I are going through. Please look for and take in for yourself the comments I posted on his live streams recently. Their titles are GangStalking, Reprogramming, GangStalking Talk, and Q&A, and GangStalking, The Witching Hour. So I just want to say that I have not gone to his channel to view those comments yet. When I do go to the channel and I see your comments, I'll copy them and paste them into an email to myself so that I can read them here. And the only reason I'm reading this is that a lot of people don't go back to the comments section. Not everybody has a good phone or a good internet connection. Sometimes they just listen to the videos in the background and never post a comment or read other people's comments. That's why when there's a fairly, interesting comment or a long one as you've provided here, I want everybody to hear it. So then he goes on to say, loud pops is exactly the way to describe the noise from my refrigerator also. I didn't hear them in the video and I didn't replay it. I'm not shocked to hear you have it acting the same. I'm sure you pissed them off too. Question. Do you have fuming happening to you? For me, the gas does not smell. I feel it more. It burns my throat and eyes sometimes, affecting my sinuses. It makes me wheeze. And it can be felt on my tongue like some chemical. It's unpleasant when eating or drinking. My wife says they always hit us when we eat. They hit me with it much harder and pretty much relentlessly all day compared to its use against her. I assume it's my punishment for my actively searching for and finding sources of it entering into our home. They are set up in advance for a plan B and a plan C, apparently. And the whole thing must have been planned in advance long before they went overt, because it involves installing wiring, hoses to have been run, and all the solenoids to activate valves releasing small amounts of whatever chemicals are being used to be installed into and framing of your house. I'm guessing they did these things while one is on vacation or another, or a couple of years earlier. 2 weeks gone, with only someone who is unfamiliar with the details of our home to stop in and take care of the cat once a day. It was several trips to Jamaica ago that we were slipped something in our wine that had both of us not able to remember anything past dinner at the steakhouse. That's pretty serious. Our only scheduled meal in 2 weeks of doing nothing else pre-planned. We awoke face down, still dressed, laying crossways on the bed, with an unspilled full drink carried back from wherever it was that we were the rest of the evening. It didn't spill a drop, and didn't drink any of it after carrying it back to the room. So drunk, we were in a blackout. Sure, it happens all the time. I have found things that disappeared before I could get to them. I have seen things in photos that I can't explain. It seems to be otherworldly sometimes, and then the photos disappear or they're altered. My biggest concerns are, what are the drugs and the chemicals that they're using on us? And how harmful are the effects? Before I move on to what else he said, this happens to me also. I'll just share that my house, when I purchased it, was brand new. No one ever lived in it. It was built by the Amish. If anybody knows anything about the Amish, is that they're perfectionists. They're craftsmen. They're not like, people you pull off the street. They work in families. The entire families will build a house. They're hired to build. And my house was built by the Amish, and it was delivered brand new. Nobody ever lived in it. Unfortunately, I didn't move into my house for a couple of days. And the reason was I was living in my car at the top of the hill, and my cats were up there. I didn't want to leave my cats up there, so I had to catch them all and bring them down here because their building had just been delivered and the electricity was being put in it. The same thing with this house. This house had to, even though it was fully wired and plumbed, none of it was connected to anything. I had to hire people to do that. So my house was vacant for at least 2 days, maybe 3. And during that time, these effing criminals came into my brand new house and destroyed it. They pulled up all of my flooring. It was tongue and groove. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, these are wooden planks that fit into each other like building blocks, like Legos, right? They click in place so that you can install them easily and uninstall them easily. Well, what these criminals did is they uninstalled them all, reinstalled them. They didn't click them into place and screwed down every plank so that I could not remove it. They didn't put them down with regular screws or nails that I could pull up myself with a screwdriver. They used this different kind of a screw that required a different kind of a screwdriver that I did not have. I actually wanted to remove the floor because I didn't like the color. I wanted to get something completely different. In fact, I wanted to tile the front of my house. And because of what they did, I never got an opportunity to do that. But what they did do is I guarantee they installed something underneath these floorboards. It wasn't just for the disgusting cosmetics that they did, where now the floorboards are separated so that dirt and dust gets in between that you can't really clean. Not only that, but air gets through it. So my floor is extremely drafty in the wintertime. So, I have to put down carpets and mats and stuff so that the air doesn't come up through the floorboards that should have been placed side by side, interlocking. They're no longer interlocking and they're screwed down, so I can't move them. So yes, to answer your question, they do this. They planned it in advance. And I don't know what they did to my cat's building. I know what they did externally. They actually removed all of the insulation for the windows. So when I had money a couple of years later, I replaced all the windows with new insulation. Well, they're starting to cut that now too, destroying the screens. Absolutely, because my house is listed for sale now. They're destroying it any way possible. But I'm documenting everything, and I intend to put these lists together and file a complaint. Not a local complaint. I won't be filing any local complaints anymore. I'll be going higher up. But anyway, so getting back to the other things that you mentioned here. Every time you leave your house, you went on vacation to Jamaica, I am so sorry to hear that they slipped something into your wine so that you weren't able to remember anything past dinner at the steakhouse. Now, I heard that there's a drug that they use like in other countries, and it's called scopolamine. SCOPOLOMINE, something like that. And basically it's a powder, and they use this in other countries with visitors that come to visit. They're obviously from the U.S. or from other countries unbeknownst to them. So when travelers come there, who obviously have money, they're approaching them, let's say asking them a question. And they'll have this powder and they'll blow it in their face. and it'll literally cause them to pass out. And then whatever belongings they had on them, money, wallet, or whatever, are stolen. So I've heard that sometimes it's used here in the United States for the same reasons. But these criminals also will slip these powders into other things that you have. What I've noticed, and this is pretty disgusting, I'm fairly certain that they're crushing crushed glass into my food. Because I will, I cook, right? So I cook, and I usually cook for 2 days. And yeah, I know people say, well, you know what, you can't leave leftovers. You know, what am I going to do? I don't cook every day. So anyway, I've noticed that when I cook and I eat the food, that I'm always crunching on something. Something that should not have a crunch in it. And it's not like, and like I'll add seeds and nuts to a lot of my cooking. And it's not a seed or a nut, because after it's cooked, it's soft and chewy. This is actually tastes like I'm eating crushed glass. And that's exactly what it feels like. And it doesn't happen once or twice, it happens often. So somebody is crushing something very hard and mixing it in with my food. It could be with my sugar, it could be with the salt, it could be any number of things. It could even be in my beverages. Or something that I'm mixing in with my food when I cook. But that's what they're doing to me. And I know that whatever it is that they're also doing is causing the heavy metals in my body to be off the charts. For anybody who wants to do heavy metals, you can get a hair analysis. The test costs like $125, something like that. You can buy them on Amazon. Sometimes you can find them on eBay. They're really, really easy. I did a couple, I think 1 or 2 in New Jersey, and then I did one here. And then you compare them. And then there are other people that will do hair analysis tests for you too. One is called Doctor's Data. You can find it online. And I forget what the other one is. There's one called Labrix, Labrix. You can get hormone saliva tests through them. I used to be a distributor until they changed the ability for non-doctors, medical doctors, to use them. It used to be where if you were a health practitioner, you didn't have to be a medical doctor to distribute them, because they're at-home tests. They're not in an office. You're not using like a syringe, or you're not drawing blood. It's saliva. So somebody has to spit in a vial and then it gets tested that way. So it never required medical doctor to administer these or give them to somebody to bring them home. And unfortunately, that's what changed. I guess these doctors got really pissed off that regular, practitioners were being able to utilize these tests. But anyway, I'm digressing here, just so that you know that now you can buy them, but they have to be analyzed or whatever by a medical doctor. And usually the medical doctors are selling them online, but then because you're buying them from a medical doctor, they're going to cost more money. So some of them could be like $300, where they used to be like $150. Used to be half the price. But anyway, so they will test your heavy metals, like 8 or 9 or 10 or even 12 heavy metals, and they'll show you a bar graph and a percentage, so you can see what it is. And aluminum, antimony, zinc, and I forget what the other metals were. But after I moved here, my heavy metals increased. How is that possible? Right? Is it in my water? Is it being Is it in the air that I'm breathing? Is it something that they're injecting into the air? So what you're describing also about taste and your nasal cavity and stuff, I was getting a lot of nosebleeds here. I mean, why would I get a nosebleed? I live in one of like the most humid areas. It is so humid, like the humidity, even in the wintertime, could be almost up to 90% at night. So let's say during the day it's hot, 80 or 90 degrees. The humidity might be 40 or 50%. As soon as the sun goes down, the humidity rises up like 20, 30 degrees. Literally, water is dripping off the house. How is it that my throat, my nasal passages, my eyes could be dry living in a place like this? It's not possible. The only possibility is that, well, of course, there's chemtrails and everything that's falling from the sky. But whatever it is that's being injected into the house, that's on surfaces, that's in the air that I'm breathing, that's, the computer that I'm facing, and all of that. So to validate what you're experiencing, what you and your wife have experienced, first of all, it's a horror show. I absolutely believe everything you're telling me. And I have to tell you that when I first came into the community in 2017, I was hearing stuff from people that I heard were intelligent. They were describing it in ways that seemed plausible to me. But yet, like, my mind couldn't wrap my mind that this was really happening. Well, one, because it wasn't happening to me yet. I did have weird things happening to me in New Jersey, like there was this bug that seemed to have a mind. It seemed to be able to think. It was in one of my spare bedrooms, and I'm trying to catch it. And the thing stopped and literally did an about face and ran underneath the sliding door of my closet. And then it goes in there, and I can't find it. And then, like, I would find other things in the house, like bugs that would literally follow me around. Like, where does this come from? Like, here in Kentucky, I'd be walking, and then suddenly I get stung by a wasp. I wasn't anywhere near a wasp. It's like a wasp was maneuvered to come and attack me. And it did. It attacked me in my face, of all places, in my jaw. And then, I don't know, a few days later, another wasp decided to come and attack me on the other side of my face. And then another wasp decided it was going to sting me in my left elbow. And then a couple of days later, in my right elbow. I know you can't make this stuff up. And then listening to, the video today that I posted in tribute to Dr. Robert Duncan, there was a clip in there on that psychopath, Dr. James Giordano, talking about DARPA and how we were able to implant things in insects and bugs and use them as drones. Yeah. Using insects as drones. Live insects. These are friggin' psychopaths that take an insect and implant it. Could you imagine how that insect feels? It completely alters the bug and uses it as a weapon, which is absolutely despicable. So I believe everything that you're telling me here. So you asked me the question, have you experienced fuming? Now, recently, these criminals unscrewed a nut or a bolt, whatever it's called, on my propane tank. So yeah, my propane tank was emitting propane, which is extremely dangerous. It's a good thing I don't smoke cigarettes. Because when I called the propane company, they said, please do not carry your cell phone near it or any fire anywhere near it, like a cigarette. So these criminals, they don't care. It's a plausible deniability. Oh, she had a broken propane tank. Meanwhile, it's my new propane tank, the one that was installed by the propane company. And why, after 2 years or whatever, did it suddenly form a leak? It wouldn't do that by itself. It was manipulated. So something that they did in New Jersey was, again, my house was listed for sale. Well, it was listed for sale like 2 or 3 times because the criminals blacklisted it so that it didn't sell the first 2 years. So what I did was I had a chimney sweep come and completely clean out my chimney. It looked brand new after it was clean. And I never used it again. I did not want to use it because I knew the house was going to be sold. I wanted it to be perfect. Well, I come home one day and somebody had lit a fire in the fireplace. But not just a regular fire, like it totally scorched all the walls. The walls inside were black, chipping. It's like one of the back walls needed to be replaced. And it's like, I couldn't wrap my mind around how this happened. So I called another chimney sweep to come. I think it was the same one. And I said, well, you cleaned this already. How would this have happened? Obviously, they were contacted. And they cleaned it. But it wasn't clean. It's never looked the same again. And they did this to my fireplace. So not only did I clean it once, I don't know, maybe $150, $170 to clean it, I had to do it again. And it never looked clean. It never looked the same. And I had to replace the back wall. I don't even remember what that cost. But yeah, so they did that. I mean, as far as, if you want to call it fuming. I also noticed in New Jersey, unlike here, I don't have vents here. I had forced hot air in New Jersey, so I had vents running through the entire house. And what I noticed is they would put things down in my vents, even if I cleaned them. And I had these really good air filters. And plus, I kept air filters like throughout the house. Well, I remember having to clean my air filters usually once every 3 months. And again, it was a high particle, like the air filters, I spent extra money on them. And I would buy a couple of them at a time. And I remember pulling the air filter out and being shocked at how black it was. It was so black. And I'm thinking, how is this possible? Like, I'm not running anything in the house that would cause that. I wasn't burning candles. Nobody's allowed to smoke in my house. How is this happening? And that's at the time when I realized that they were burning stuff in my fireplace. So then I started replacing the filter every month. And every month, it was just as black. I literally had no idea what was happening. But they were doing something in my house to cause the air filter, the air in the house, to be that dirty. And I had ceiling fans in every room. And I had I had replaced the attic fan with one that was better than the one that was originally installed. So, like, I was really on top of what the air quality was like in the house in New Jersey. So, I also had a whole house fan. And what it would do was it would draw the air from outside through the entire top of the house to keep it cool. So the air would totally circulate. But yet, I had these black air filters. Oh, and also, those air filters were stolen. I bought 3 of them, and they were stolen. Now, who would steal those air filters? Because they can only fit the heaters that were given to us by the builder, or I should say, I had replaced mine. So why would somebody steal them unless they fit somebody else's in the neighborhood? Like my neighbor next door, the real estate mobber. But I digress. So let's get on to the rest of what you're saying here. Now, you mentioned that you found things that disappeared before you could get to them, and that you have seen things in photos that you can't explain. Seems otherworldly sometimes, and then the photos disappear or are altered. I've experienced that too. And I don't know, I can't find the photo, but it was on one of the cameras here in Kentucky. I believe it was a cloaked person. The video photo was of the shape of a person, but it was a halo. So you actually didn't see the person. You only saw like the aura, the halo around the person, like it was a shadow that had a light emanating from around the person. And that was in the photo. Then there was another one that's actually on my YouTube channel of one of the perps driving by. And the perp looked like a demon. It was a demon face, like a shapeshifter. And then there are others where you could see what appears to be creatures on the ground on my property. They're like dark figures. I don't know what it is. You know, at first you kind of pass it off as, oh, it's just a shadow. But no, this is something is there. And then I would find orbs, really huge orbs in New Jersey, like so many orbs in New Jersey. But the orbs in New Jersey were just stagnant and in weird positions. I think they were specifically there to block things on the property because people were walking around there at night. But the orbs here in Kentucky are floating, like they float in front of the cameras. Just the way I see on other people's channels, like the floating orbs. So I've seen that. And as far as your concerns about the drugs and the chemicals they're using on us and how harmful they are, I absolutely agree. I mean, I was like a really perfectly healthy, physically fit person my whole life, you know. I stay away from drugs, alcohol, you know, pharmaceutical drugs, aspirins, soda, you know, all that stuff. Meat, I don't eat meat. I mean, if I did eat meat, when I would buy it, it would be organic. The same thing, I do eat cheese. And I try to buy organic cheese as much as possible. So, there is no reason for my fingernails or my skin to not be able to get clean. On my fingertips, for my fingernails to not be as hard as they used to be, for my hair to be falling out. I mean, yeah, stress can do these things, but I've been under stress before. I went through a 3.5-year-long divorce. That was extremely stressful. I never had problems with my fingernails or toenails or anything like that when I was going through my divorce. Of course, I was younger, but this is it's being done to me, just as it's being done to you and your wife. So now you go on to say, well, our house is open game for 8 hours, 4 days a week. So, you know, when you're working, they are inside easily 3 of the 4 that I can tell, and I have no reason to believe that they weren't inside on the 4th day as well. I've seen the clouds of smart dust in your buildings on your videos. I watch most of your content. I like the information you put up. I also like the walks on the property. I agree with you about the harassment being a different sort for property owners. Well, thank you for validating that. It is very different for people that own property or a house than if you're a renter. And granted, I haven't rented in a long time, but I was a renter. I know what it's like to rent. I don't know what it's like to rent as a targeted person. So he goes on to say, my brother and I have had the displeasure of taking care of our father and his rental homes during and after the 5 years of his suffering, the imprisonment of his mind inside his body, inside of a care center after a debilitating stroke. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's horrible. I've been to those facilities before for my grandparents, and it's not a pleasant place. It was not a good day for an active man to end. Somehow we had some money left and 2 properties yet to sell and split 5 ways. The acreage we held on to for a while in a trust since my brother lived there. He died of 4th stage colon cancer suddenly. Well, I'm going to just tell you something. Colon cancer appears to be, I've heard of it so many times in people that are targeted. And I think it's because these criminals go after your private parts. I think that, they definitely vibrate, the private parts of men and women. And I have no doubt that they vibrate the anal part of people. And I would imagine that between the radiation and the vibrations and stuff, that it could cause something like that in any individual. So you're saying he died of 4th stage colon cancer suddenly. Suddenly. Coincidentally, a stepbrother who has become helpful and involved in my life has just been told that he may be 6 months to live left. He recently found out to have colon cancer. Stage 4. I think I figure out why so much electricity can be measured from my mattress and all of my vehicle's seats and consoles. Think about that. Your butt is sitting on a seat. You're in a vehicle, and the vehicle seats are, what's the fabric or leather? But then what is underneath it? Underneath it, excuse me, are usually maybe some coils. And that's very interesting. And you know what? I know of an attorney who I believe was targeted. He developed colon cancer. And he went through all the traditional means. He went into remission, but then it came back. And then he went to this doctor, I think it was in Arizona, did alternative treatments and stuff. And he ended up going into full recovery. What is it called? Remission. Using mistletoe, injecting mistletoe in his liver. And I met him in person, and he looked great. And he, of course, he was an older man. He had already retired from law. But he also had 4th stage colon cancer. Surprise, surprise. We sold the property, and the state took all of his share to cover any help he received in health care and all aid he ever received in his life. They keep a running tab and will collect whatever is left in an estate during probate. I saw the detailed history on him. They actually brought an insurance policy in his name monthly, and every month he was covered and was charged against his estate. Myself, I owe nothing to the state. But the wife received 3 months' assistance from back in the early 80s. I wonder if that is on our estate. Well, isn't that interesting? They keep a little tally on everybody. We have our house and bought the big building that was a machine shop next door. So it's 5 lots with huge commercial property on the main road in a small town, plus savings and 401ks. We felt like we have done fairly well with taking care of things the way I was brought up to think was the right way to do it. I have what I have to get to retire within a year, and I felt we did good and we'll be okay. I know few people can say the same, and I don't know how they think they're going to make it. Well, I'm just going to tell you that I felt that way. And even though my divorce was horrendous and I spent way too much money getting a divorce, I was able to start making money right away in my own businesses. And plus, I invested in antiques and I knew that they would hold their value over time. Except that the criminals came and destroyed a lot of my antiques. They stole a lot of things. They even actually stole a knife that I bought. The knife was $63 and they stole it. It was a brand new knife. Disappeared. $63. They've stolen jewelry. They stole $4,000 in cash from me. And then my house in New Jersey was asset strip vandalized to a tune of $300,000. That's right, $300,000. That's money that I should have had. My house should have sold 3 years earlier, which means that I should not have had to have paid property taxes for those 3 years. I should have been paying property taxes on a new home somewhere else where I have downsized. My house should have actually sold to a tune of about $60,000 more than I sold it for. So I was totally asset stripped there. So I hear what you're saying. And I know somebody, I know a targeted woman who they stole her diamond engagement ring. And that was quite costly. So these criminals, I mean, they only make money by stealing. Could you imagine if they actually worked as hard as we all did in our lives? With the investments we made, the good choices we made, with our creativity, with our businesses. It's absolutely despicable. So he says, one last thing I'll mention is the time we missed a payment on a bank lockbox. And when I realized this, we paid it 6 months late and finished the year and paid the whole next year too. 5 months later, I got a bill from the bank for the price of drilling out the lock to remove our things and put a new lock in place. I looked up the payment and have a cash check for that payment. I made a quick call on Saturday morning to find out money is there to handle this. So I will call on Monday as I figured I would. Monday from work, I tell the bank president I am holding a check that has gone through their account and returned with my statements. He said, "I don't believe you," quote unquote. And I was stunned. I said, "Excuse me?" She repeated she didn't believe me. I told her, "That's okay. I'll just show you in person. I'll just stop in and show you in person." I went there later that morning and she had found our check but didn't know what it was applied to yet. I found that strange, since I only had the box there, no accounts, and what else could it have been applied to? You know, his name's on the check. I told her there must have been so excited to drill out the lock that you didn't bother sending me a reminder that it wasn't paid. She claimed to have sent me 3 warning notices out like that one on the screen. I asked her if there's a photocopy of the one they sent, and she said this was like, quote unquote, the one that they would have sent. I told her, "I don't believe you," quote unquote. When this was all done, with what I had, my things handed to me in a paper bag, I had a check for the year that I paid in advance. Since I can't trust that my belongings can be safe in your bank, I asked for a prorated check for the months, and I won't be keeping anything there in that box that I prepaid for. They gave me the whole year. How generous! That is it then, I ask. You have nothing more to say? And I stood and I backed up the door, waiting for the two of them to apologize to me. I stared at the banker for a few minutes and I looked to the legal aide who was standing there for this exchange. Really? Nothing? Quote unquote. It was quiet. Nothing at all? I understand when the banker lady introduced her that she was not there for aid in anything to do with me. It was only legal aid for the bank's interests. Yeah, it was like a lawyer to protect the bank's ASS. Silent minutes went by with the banker's head bent down, staring at her desk. The aide had her head down too, and neither said a thing. I just mumbled, quote unquote, unbelievable, as I slowly backed several steps, watching to see if either would raise their stubborn, righteous heads and look at me with those cold eyes. But no, nothing. I said unbelievable again, and I walked away. Well, I'm really sorry this happened to you. Well, this happens. This is unfortunate. But I'm sure you heard that the Institute for Justice won a lawsuit against the FBI for doing this very thing, stealing the contents of security boxes, because they were performing an investigation of, I guess, the people that installed the boxes or whatever. So instead of just investigating it, they just totally asset stripped everybody, all these innocent people that had their boxes there. Well, fortunately, there was a class action suit. All these people came together across the United States, and the Institute for Justice won the lawsuit. And the FBI had to give it all back. So I do believe you. I absolutely believe you. This is why I won't get one of those security boxes. I wanted to get one. I will not get one. There's nothing safe there. It's not safe in your house. It's not safe anywhere. And if you have remote neural monitoring and they can kind of see through your eyes, it doesn't even matter where you hide your stuff. So thank you so much for sharing all of that information. And just so you know, folks, this is a subscriber who wrote these comments in the comments section of the video of where I was interviewed by David within the last week. It was posted 6 days ago. So anyway, this is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. I'm going to sign off for now. This is a long video, and it's going to be uploaded to Alternative Homesteading 2. And maybe I'll post it to Targeted Pets, I'm not sure. But thank you all for subscribing, and please remember to hit the thumbs up and share if you feel inclined to do so. I'm not able to post for 7 days because of a strike on a video that I posted months ago, which is a mirror. It's a mirror video. It's not even my own content. It's a video that I posted belonging to somebody else that's still on the internet. So this baffles the mind. So I asked YouTube, well, what is it about the music portion of the video? Is it the words that are scrolling on the screen that are not being spoken? Is it the music behind it that was created by the originator? Like, what is it about the video? They didn't tell me. They didn't tell me what it is. They didn't tell me if it's the words, the music. They said, but it violates our policy. But it doesn't tell me what policy. It doesn't tell me what it is that I violated. I have no idea what about the video unless it's the words scrolling on the screen. If you tell me what it is that I violated, I can go back and edit the video, right? No big deal. It's, I guess it's a 30-minute long video or 40-minute long video. Most of it's music. Most of it is music like for tinnitus, the binaural beats, but it's his own creation of music. There are words scrolling on the screen. Do you want me to cut that out and just leave the music? Just tell me what it is that I violated. I mirrored the content of another content creator. So just tell me what it is. So anyway, because of that strike, now I've got a strike on my channel for somebody else's work that's still up on YouTube. And if I remember correctly, other people shared the video. So either somebody reported it, like the cyber stalker, Or if YouTube is just going through videos and taking them down, well, then you got to take down everybody's video that's the same. Okay, so that's my little rant on that. But thank you so much for sharing these comments, and I so appreciate it. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, signing off for now.